7, 8, 9, 10.
Speedy your time.
Okay.
Stand by. And anytime.
Bob, first of all, I must congratulate you on a fantastic performance in The Great Santini.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You know, and of course I've just seen Apocalypse Now as well. You could be up for 2 nominations, maybe Best Actor and Supporting categories.
Oh,
Anybody else told you that?
I don't know. Nobody has. I don't know really. I suppose that's possible. I never heard of it, and I didn't really think about it that much. But who knows? You know, it would be nice to be, I suppose, nominated for something. Yeah, but I enjoy doing both parts. They're not similar, but they're not not much alike. You know, they are somewhat similar in energy and so forth, and I enjoy doing both of them. Although I did Apocalypse Now, 3 years ago. It's like a thing of the past. You know, it really is. Those cuts and everything, the way I wasn't with the parts of my part that were cut out, I've long forgotten because it's 3 years ago.
But as military figures, how are they alike?
Well, as military figures, I suppose each is a kind of a specialist in his own way. Bill Kilgore was in the Air Cavalry, and they were a very effective fighting force in Vietnam. I understand 1/3 of all bodies taken were the Air Cavalry, and 1/3 of those were the 1st of the 9th, and so they were a very effective kind of, at times, renegade bunch of soldiers. The Marines are very effective too, I suppose, but not so renegade, more unified. But each a maverick in his own way. I think each character was a kind of a maverick in his own way. You know, each had his own personal style. I tried to bring that to each one. But both good military men, I suppose, good leaders. But maybe good leaders also because they have these eccentric, fun-loving sides to them, which I had to bring out in both parts.
Bob, I think that it's safe to say, would you agree with me, that there will be some people who will see Bull Meacham and they just won't be able to like the guy at all. Do you agree?
I imagine, yeah, probably so. I know I tried to bring to the part a certain warmth, or a certain likable quality to him, because if you have all a characterization all one way, then it becomes all one thing, and you got to try to find the contradictions. The script always didn't afford that, that kind of that way of finding it, helping to find it. But I tried to find the warmth and the compassion towards the family. But it's more outweighed by the other, I think, the hardness. But you always try to find a balance, really, to make it human and interesting.
Will it bother you that some people won't like this guy?
No, just so they like my acting. I don't care if they like the guy or not. I think I did some good acting in it, and it doesn't bother me. No, but I think it's realistic. I think there are a lot of people in families that if you took private moments, very personal, very private moments of any given individual who's interesting, kind of in an arbitrary situation, people would say he's nuts, but he's not nuts. People have those interesting people have sides to them that are eccentric. And if you try to show those sides, then people say, oh, you're a nut, you're this, you're that. But it's not true. We all have those sides to us that we always don't show, to the public. But certain characters can be shown that way, and therefore you think they're eccentric. But they're crazy in a fun-loving way. They're not really crazy. They just have those eccentric sides, which we all have.
Your father was a military man. He was an admiral.
Yes, he retired as a rear admiral.
Was there any of Bull Meacham in your father, and was there any of Ben in you?
No, maybe sometimes we didn't communicate as well as we should have. Maybe that was kind of a direct parallel to the story. But no, my father wasn't like that, no. And maybe I was a little like Ben, and then I would like to have pursued maybe a closer relationship with my father, but he was away a lot. So my mother was kind of the strong figure in the house, which I think maybe paralleled this a little bit too, at least while he was away. But I guess always wanting to be closer to your father is a thing that maybe Ben wanted. Maybe his father did too, you don't know. So maybe it's similar in that way, that you don't know what is the style of approach that one finds to be closer to a father or a son. I mean, it was parallel in that way, I think.
Bob, there's been a lot of controversy about the title. People thinking that the title isn't really indicative of what the movie is. did you want the title to be changed?
No, I liked the title because I had read the book. In the book, it's more explained that in Pat Conroy, I met him, and he further explained that he always thought of his father when he was a little boy as a magician with airplanes. You know, that he could do wonderful things with planes, and maybe I think maybe it is a little misleading. I like the title in a way, but I suppose there could have been other ones that they could have come up with. But it's kind of a subjective title, but on Pat's part, I guess. But I like it.
If I may, Bob, just get back to Apocalypse once.
Yes.
For just one more question. It's a very controversial movie. I don't know in my own experience, for a couple of years, I haven't had so many people come to me and say, what did you think of Apocalypse and this and this and this? I mean, people just dying to discuss this movie.
Yes.
Does the movie in any way at all disappoint you?
Well, I think he's a wonderful filmmaker, Francis Coppola. I mean, personally, as I say, it was done 3 years ago. It had been finished 6 months ago. I may have been a little disappointed that I had certain important elements of my character that were edited out. That's always the thing you have to, you know, you're a victim, you know. I'm not the boss, so he is. The end was a little fuzzy to me. I think in part it was a brilliant movie. I mean, just brilliant, you know. Perhaps controversial. I know that a guy followed me down the street for like a block and a half in New York and said, I was in the air cavalry, you're just like a guy I served under. He said, I'll give you my card, and 45 of my friends and I will attest to the fact that the war was is crazy over there, as the movie was. He said, we had a body and ear count every day. This was the air cavalry. So, you know, a lot of the military advisors on the film said, oh, no, this couldn't have happened, this surfing, this and that. But I've been led to believe in spirit that guys in the air cavalry said this did go on, and there were people like this, that it was not caricature, that it was reality. So I have to believe guys that were from that part of the war over there, the air cavalry, that these things did go on.
What do you think was the bottom line of what Coppola was trying to achieve with Apocalypse?
Well, I really can't say that, but I did see the movie, and maybe after seeing the movie, maybe what he was trying to achieve was the one line Brando said, the horror of it all. The horror. Maybe the horror, you know. And I know when we did the film, he was saying that, you know, it's like a story that you destroy the monster that's like in all of us, of Brando and that character of Kurtz. And that it's like a purging. We go on. We don't necessarily hang our heads that maybe the Vietnamese War was not good. It was maybe wrong. But now we go on and start again. And the apocalypse now, the destruction by fire, everything, you know, and now it's a rebirth. We go on as a nation. We're young. And we go on to new heights and better things, more positive things. Not leave it behind. Destroy it, leave it behind, and go on. Is kind of, I think, what he was trying to say. But I guess he was also trying to paint the horror of it all.
And you think he achieved it?
I think, in many ways, yeah. I think more in the beginning in an impulse way, like most of his other films. I think at the end it became more cerebral, a little heady, and a bit confusing. But I think in many ways he accomplished it. He did a wonderful job.
Bob, thank you so much for this interview.
Thank
and
you.
I must say to you that come February, if you show up even one place on the Academy nominations, I'll be very happy. But if you show up in both places, I'm going to go whoopee.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob,
Thank
for
you.
talking
Nice
with
to
us
talk to you.
today. Wonderful interview.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, want me to help you put your chair around?
Yeah, let me.
Okay.
That was really a super interview.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
everything I wanted from you.
Good.
Thank you. Here, something like this.
I'm a little tighter than that.
Okay, but you're not like here.
No.
No, okay. Yeah, at least let the shoulders show.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Okay, now, questions? And I'll look right to the camera for questions. Bob, Kilgore in Apocalypse Now and Bull Meacham in this movie, The Great Santini, are very similar characters, do you think? Bob, I think it's safe to say that some people will not like Bull Meacham in The Great Santini. Does this bother you at all? You come from a military family. Your father was an admiral. Was he anything at all like Bull Meacham? Were you anything like Ben? Bob, there's been quite a lot of controversy about the title. People saying that The Great Santini isn't really indicative of what this movie is about. Did you want to then, again? Bob, there's been a lot of controversy about the title, The Great Santini, people saying it's not really indicative of what this movie is about. Did you want them to change the title? Bob, I think that Apocalypse Now, for me personally, I've experienced this, is one of the most controversial movies around. Does it in any way at all disappoint you? Bob, if we take the final, again, Bob, if we take the bottom line of Apocalypse Now, what do you think Francis Ford Coppola was trying to achieve with the film? Do you think he did achieve it? Okay. And one last close. This is Bobby Wygant at Fripp Island Resort near Beaufort. Okay, again. This is Bobby Wygant at Fripp Island Resort near Beaufort, South Carolina for Channel 5 Action News.
You're sick?
The SIG. Do you want to shoot it any other way? Do you want me to be looking and turn into the camera?
I think
okay,
we could
let's
do
try
that.
that. Okay.
Okay, hold on just a sec. Say, thank
Yeah.
you, Bob. and-
Yeah.
Okay, we are rolling.
Thank you, Bob. This is Bobby Wygant at Fripp Island Resort near Beaufort, South Carolina for Channel 5 Action News. Good?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Very nice.